Hey, fellow stewards. Now, I know at the airing of this video, it is a week after Thanksgiving. And if you're like most people, you probably tossed the turkey carcass already. That's okay. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what I am doing with the turkey carcass that I saved. We are talking about making broth. So here I have, this is my pot. That's all the remains from the turkey. We've got the chicken neck the turkey neck in here that I saved. I did not roast it with the turkey. You can see it is raw. And then the rest of this is what remains from the roasted turkey. So I'm just I gotta add some water here. And we're gonna talk a little bit about why I talk about this liquid gold and why if you can only do one thing to upgrade the nutrition in your kitchen, this would be the thing to do. All right, so that's about a gallon of water there. And I'm gonna add some salt. Put that in there. And I always add a little bit of apple cider vinegar. So it's a couple things. That helps I got plastic over the bottle. That helps all of the good minerals and nutrition to come out of the bones. And it also, I find that it greatly improves the flavor of the broth. So it's definitely worth adding a little bit of apple cider vinegar into that. I'm adding a few peppercorns. These will get strained out and not eaten. All right, so there you go. I've added some water and I think I need just a little bit more water. I will add that in just a moment. Water, some salt, and some peppercorns. And then I will, after I bring this to a boil and skim off some of the scum that comes up to the top, I'm going to add some celery. And probably, I don't have any fresh herbs at the moment. Normally you would add some fresh herbs. All my herbs are over at the other house. So I'm not going to add the herbs this time around. All right, so I'm turning this on high. I'm going to put the lid on, bring it to a boil. So let's talk about why we want to do this. All right, so let me take a look. I have this wonderful book called Nourishing Broth. It's by Sally Fallon Morell and also Kayla T. Daniel. I'm going to read just a quick little excerpt from here. Folk wisdom throughout the world values broth for its healing powers. And we have found confirmation of these traditional beliefs in hundreds of 19th and early 20th century studies on gelatin, and in thousands of modern investigations into glycine, cartilage, glucosamine, and other components found abundantly in broth. So this is very, very healing. There's a reason why we have the tradition of making things like chicken soup for when we're sick or to give to someone that we know that is sick. You might have heard Hippocrates, an ancient doctor from thousands of years ago, and that he had a statement, a well-known statement that says all disease begins in the gut. Okay, so and this is not just about the typical gut symptoms like bloating and indigestion and pain that a lot of people experience in their digestive system. There are many less obvious signs. Make sure I got my stove going here. Yep. There are many less obvious signs that your digestive system or your gut is struggling. Symptoms like brain fog, seasonal allergies. Did you know that is related to your gut health? Skin issues, fatigue, joint pain, anxiety, and depression. We actually, in the series I did recently on depression and dealing with depression holistically, I had a whole video about the gut-brain axis. So if your gut is out of whack and needs some healing, that could lead to depression and anxiety and other mental health kinds of symptoms. So if you are dealing with any of these, chronically, the root cause could very well be a gut in need of healing. So, but this could be part of the solution. I have said in the past that if you could only do one thing to start learning how to make broth would be that thing. I don't think it's the only thing, and it's not going to make a huge difference all by itself. Because think about it, if you have an injury, say like you burn your finger, and now you're trying to heal that, right? You're putting things on it, but you keep putting your hand back in the heat over and over again, that's going to mess with the healing. And it's either not going to heal or it's going to take a whole lot longer to heal if you keep basically re-injuring it over and over again. And the toxins that we're bringing in through our food and other products are part of what's damaging our gut. I could probably do a whole video on that. All the things part of our modern lifestyle that are why our gut lining and gut microbiome and all of that is in the state that it's in. So I think that making this broth paired with beginning to learn how to read ingredients and reduce toxins in your life can make a huge difference in your life. Because as you start reading ingredients and making swaps and things, you're going to be improving your nutrition along the way. So, but this is a wonderful place to start. And you don't have to start with a whole turkey. That's just what I happen to have right now. And because it's the holidays, there's a pretty good chance that you guys are going to have another turkey. Either you will be making it or someone in your family. Whenever I go for Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner somewhere else and there is a turkey that has been made, I always ask, are you going to use the turkey carcass or the remains, the bones from the turkey? If they are, high five, that's awesome, more power to you. If they're not, then I'm going to be like, hey, please don't throw that away. Let's get some Ziploc bags and put it all up. I will take it home and use it. So if you are somewhere else and there's a turkey and you find out they're going to throw it away, try to catch them before they do. So you can take that home and make your own turkey stock. Now, when we're talking about broth and stock, you have probably heard about bone broth. And this is bone broth is a wonderful and amazing thing to add into your nutrition. Bring minerals and lots of other great nutritional value to bone broth. But there's a caveat. So we're just talking about gut health, okay? That long cook time. So for it to be bone broth, it's usually cooked 24 to 48 hours. It's a really long cook time. And that could be a barrier for someone even being able to do it, having to cook it that long. But also that long cook time breaks down a lot of glutamic acid into the broth. And this can be problematic. It can be irritating to the gut. Just like we were talking about the toxins, you need to be reducing those toxins because those are part of what's caused damage to your gut. And you don't want to be adding in something that's going to irritate the gut, even in a healing food like bone broth. So what can we do about that? I am not going to be cooking this for 24 hours or longer, okay? There is something called, if you've heard of GAPS, the gut and psychology syndrome or gut and physiology syndrome, there's a dietary protocol for that, for healing the gut. And they talk about meat stock as opposed to bone broth. So this is what I am going to do here, is make meat stock with a much shorter cooking time. So we have the whole entire turkey here. So there's going to be a lot of good cartilage and connective tissue. And I left quite a bit of meat on these bones in here. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for meaty bones that are parts that have joints and things like that are going to have that good connective tissue. And cook it for a much shorter time. This is only going to be cooked for a few hours. So this is going to give us a broth that's very rich in collagen and gelatin, and that is what heals your gut. And you're also going to have Maybe not as many because you're not cooking for as long, but you're going to still have some of the minerals and other nutritional benefits. But the most important thing for healing your gut is going to be the collagen and the gelatin. That's why I call this liquid gold for your intestinal lining. So I've got a couple of things in here. This is a book. I actually have a copy of Gut and Physiology Syndrome. However, I've loaned it out to a friend, so don't have it to refer to it at the moment. But I have this other one. It's GAPS Stage by Stage. So anyone that wants to try to do this gut healing protocol, this is a wonderful book to have to help you through that, because it's stage by stage with recipes for doing that protocol. So I just have a little passage here to read. Meat stock is vital to healing the damaged gut, sealing the microbiome foundation. Cooking bone broth instead of meat stock will prolong your healing time if you have advanced gut damage. Meat stock can be made in countless different ways. And this is one right here that I'm showing you. So this is a great one. There's some recipes in here for making meat stock. And there's also this one that I read from earlier is, the recipes are going to mainly be bone broth with longer cooking times, but it's still very helpful. And I will refer to it back in just a moment about what you can do with your broth after you've made it. So that's another very, very helpful thing that you can get from nourishing broth. So as I said, you don't need a holiday turkey in order to do this, okay? The easiest way to start is with a whole chicken. You can get that at the grocery store, okay? Let's go to the grocery store and pick up a whole chicken. Now, you may not have a pot this big at the moment. I would highly suggest you start looking for one. Try to get a good quality stainless steel pot. But here's another pot that I have. It's not near as big. So there's no way I'm going to make this turkey stock from a whole roasted turkey in this pot. However, I also have this package. These are some chicken leg quarters. So I don't know that I could do a whole chicken in this pot, but I can put the leg quarters in this pot and make a wonderful meat stock with those. Because the leg quarters, that's the thigh and the leg still together, so you're going to have that good cartilage and stuff in there. So there's lots of different ways to start making your own broth. And it's really, really simple to do. So start with a whole chicken. You can roast the chicken and save all the bones, but ideally you want to start with the chicken raw to make the best meat stock. But like I said, you couldn't really do that with the whole turkey, unless maybe if you have a cauldron, some kind of large cauldron over a campfire or something, maybe you could do a whole turkey in that to make broth. But it's okay to start from a roasted chicken as well. There's still going to be a lot of good benefits from that. Yeah, and I had another quote to read here from Becky Plotner. According to Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride, the person who created the GAPS protocol, chicken meat stock is one of the gentlest options for a sensitive system. She says chicken stock is particularly gentle on the stomach and is very good to start with. The gelatinous soft tissues around the bones and the bone marrow provide some of the best healing remedies for the gut lining and the immune system. So for gut healing, we want to start making this on a regular basis and including it in your regular diet. So that including this alongside reducing the toxic ingredients that are causing harm to your gut, you're going to see great, great benefits for gut healing. Now there's a lot more to it than that, but I'm keeping it down to the very simple first steps to make. Start reading ingredients and reducing. I can do a whole video on that if anyone would like me to, and start learning to make this liquid gold. All right. So we talked about, this is the leftover turkey from Thanksgivings, or starting with the whole chicken, or even something a little bit smaller, like the chicken leg quarters. That's about 2 pounds of leg quarters right there. And that would fit very nicely in this pot. To start making just a small pot of some meat stock. But you could also use, let's see, I had a list here, chicken feet. That's going to add so much of that rich collagen and gelatin into your broth. Other cuts you can use, beef or lamb knuckles, neck bones, things like that. I also have marrow bones down. If it's just marrow bones, and you can get soup bones that have very little meat but might have a lot of marrow in them, and that's still going to be hugely beneficial, and there will be some collagen in that, but you're not going to get that rich gelatinous broth that gets really thick after you. It's not going to have as much, but it's still going to have some. So even if that's all you can get, you can start with that beef or lamb soup bones. So how can you use all this broth? Okay, it is worth it to get used to just drinking it straight for your healing and just really, really upgrading your nutrition. As part of the GAPS protocol, you're actually drinking a cup of this with each meal. So that's one. And you can also add in some the juice from fermented vegetables like sauerkraut. Put a little bit of that into your cup of broth, and that really brightens up the flavor, and it's actually quite delicious. So just drinking it straight is going to be very, very healing to your gut and your whole system. Can also make sauces. I'm going to take some of this stock and make a pot of turkey soup, and I will drink some of it, as I was just saying. And then sauces and stews, all the things that you would use broth for. You can use it for cooking rice or quinoa, or I just recently started trying out buckwheat as like a rice alternative. And in this Nourishing Broths book, she has recipes. She has the recipes for making I'm thinking her recipes are mostly bone broth, so you could use those recipes and just reduce the cooking time and make sure you're using, the best meaty bones with those joints and connective tissue that you can find, and still, put those recipes together. But also she has a whole section on making sauces, the kind you thicken with flour or other kinds of thickeners, reduction sauces. That's what I do the most. I like to do reduction sauces. And other types of sauces, making meat with sauce. She has a section on using your broth for cooking grains and legumes. She has a section on broth for breakfast. I haven't looked through that. I'm going to have to check that out. Section on tonic. So there's a lot of different ways to use the broth that you make. And it is very worth the effort, and it's not a huge effort, I don't think. Just plan a day that you're going to be home, have it on the stove for just a few hours, and then later I'm going to come back and we'll add to this when it's all done. Actually, I'm still waiting for it needs to just be coming to a boil, and then scum's going to come to the top, and I will skim that off and then turn it down. I will add in any herbs and vegetables that I'm going to add, probably some carrots and celery. I'll add carrots, won't be adding carrots. So some celery, whatever. We'll see what I have in my about to be moving in a few weeks kitchen. So do the best you can with what you have, right? So once it starts to come to a boil, I'm going to skim the scum off the top and then turn it down to a simmer, let it simmer. Let's see, it's turkey, so maybe 3 or 4 hours. Then I'm going to turn it off and let it cool, and I will come back and show that. All right, I am back, and I have simmered this for 2.5 hours. So I went and looked it up. I didn't have any specific instructions for turkey meat stock. So I checked on, remind myself, for chicken, and chicken is 1.5 to 2 hours. And since this was a smallish turkey, about 14.5 pounds originally, I decided, okay, we're gonna go 2.5 hours for this turkey. So what it's time to do now is take this out. I turned it off and have been letting it cool. It's still kind of hot. It's still pretty hot. So I'm going to pull out all of the meat and bones and put it into a bowl. Okay, so I'm going to pull that out and put it in a bowl, and then I'm going to use a strainer and a funnel to put the stock into some jars. Now, it's helpful to have a strainer, and if you want an even clearer broth, you can add a piece of cheesecloth in here to strain out even more. So I am going to start just pulling out some of the bones. I want to go through this and pick out any meat. My glasses are fogging up. Any meat that I can use in the turkey soup that I want to make. So I'm going to pull this all into a bowl and let it cool. So here we go. Woo, look at that. Yeah, I should have some nice meat that can go into a turkey soup. So as I get all of that out, and I'm going to, there's more to dig out here, but just for the sake of wrapping up this video, I'm going to, there, I got my funnel. I'm going to put this over the funnel to strain out things that are in the broth in order to have more of a clearer broth. Grab my ladle. So I have on the jar, I don't have the greatest equipment for doing this sort of thing right now, but here I have my jar, my wide mouth funnel, and the strainer, and I'm resting the strainer on a jar that's just tall enough, and we're going to just ladle the broth right into the jar. And you put it in the fridge, and if you have a wide mouth jar like this, it's generally safe to put it in the freezer. And you will need to freeze some when you have this much broth. Here, let me see if I can show you the broth here. Whew, that's a lot of broth. Remember, I put in, to just cover the bones, I put in about 1 gallon of water. So now you could say we have about 1 gallon of turkey stock. So that is that. We have stock, just a little bit more in this jar. And we're going to put it in the jars and put them, some in the freezer and some in the fridge, so that we can use it in all the different ways that we talked about. So this is the making stock from the turkey carcass, and we talked about doing it from chicken and other meaty bones. So I would love to, if anyone has any questions on how to get started doing this for yourself, do not hesitate to send me a message. I am available for free consultations and also to work with you and help you with building these kinds of habits into your life to improve your nutrition and improve your overall health for better health stewardship. So, but as I always say, we want to do our best with what we know today and then trust God with the rest. All of our health stewardship is built on a foundation of faith. And if you do already have a routine of making either bone broth or meat stock, I would love to hear about that. If you decide to try it for the first time, definitely please drop a comment or send me a message, and I would love to hear about that. I am over here cheering you on and is encouraging anyone who listens, and myself included, in our health stewardship so that we can build a stronger relationship with God and show up and serve in the places that He has placed us in our lives. Have a great rest of the day, and I will look forward to hearing from you down in the comments.